You have reached the public service. Ask yourself one question. Are you a taker or a maker? As with any situation in life, is your situation taking or making you happy? Hello. This is the Public Service Show, and I'm Sandra.
Hi there, and I'm Kirk.
And today's show is about the tiers of justice. And I mean tears, as in this tears, and also those, depending on what side of justice you are.
Hasn't like the poor people on the bottom tier?
Yeah, we're going to get there.
Okay.
So, justice, to act or treat justly or fairly. We're going to talk about the American system of justice. And is it fair or not fair? In my experience as a brown woman, I have been finding that the system is unfair. And let's do a little bit of history here. I'm starting back with George Floyd, and beyond that,
Rodney King.
Rodney King was the first time that I ever really saw someone be treated so inhumanely that it took me aback. Because I have to be honest with you, I heard stories all the time, but I wasn't sure I believed it until cell phones and things came out. And I have to admit that I owe a lot of people an apology, because I trusted a system that was put long before I was born and was very unjust to a lot of people. I saw a woman be shot in the face 3 times for nothing. It was an execution. I've seen a man suffocated to death. So I have some culpability here, and I'm no longer gonna believe what I hear or even read, that I do believe what I see. And that is one of the good things, one of the wonderful things about everyone having cell phones. So our laws, we have 2-tier court system. We have laws that punish and laws that actually give justice. But for the states have prisons, and they're for crimes that violate state law. Then we have federal prisons for things like mail fraud, bank robbery, kidnapping, and crimes like that against federal laws. So there's 2-tier system there on states and the federal laws. Now we need to talk about, are they fair?
No, they're not fair. I'm just here to tell you straight up, not fair, especially if you don't have money.
Exactly. So we have a system that says that you're entitled to an attorney. A lot of people can't afford that. So they get what's called a public defender, who has lots of people they have to defend. So sometimes you get lost in the system, and sometimes you can't get out. And we also have a system where it costs you money. Like, say, for instance, you get a ticket, you didn't pay it. They arrest you and lock you up. Say, for instance, you're drunk driving, you get arrested, and you can't make the bail. There are people in New York that have been locked up for decades because they couldn't make the bail. I saw a story recently where a man was in there for $300 for decades, which is shocking. But then I came to terms with the fact that our prison system is not based on crimes. It's based in profit. A lot of the prisons are privately owned. So everybody they keep locked up, the federal government gives them money. daily for however long they're locked up. So it's to their better interest that you can't make bail.
It's pretty sad. And let's face it, bail is for poor people, because when you have people who are wealthy, you can set whatever number. There are rapists and thieves and all sorts of criminals walking around free as a bird because they had the money to grease the palms. It's like, and where does that bail money go? That's something I've not really given much thought about, but that
Well,
may
if
be
a
for
prison
another day.
for profit, so whoever owns the prison, the bail money goes into the court system, correct?
I guess maybe it's state by state.
But I don't know, because
federal
but
bail.
then the prison, sometimes if you do work, you get like $1 a day, but I believe that's not even a fraction of what they get for keeping you locked up.
That's true.
Maybe that's another show.
Yeah, we'll have
but
to dig into that.
we will give you the hard numbers. But what we need to talk about is why we have such a broken system. And the reason why is because decades ago, hundreds of years ago, we had slaves in this country. And as a brown woman, we're going to talk about how we got to where we are today with the unfair system. First of all, slavery was horrible, and it enslaved Africans and sometimes even the Irish back in the day after they freed the slaves. The Irish were what was called indentured servants. They would have to work and work and work, and their children, because we didn't have child labor laws either after the slaves were free. But there was already a system in place that you could hurt a person of color and not suffer any kind of consequence for it.
Yeah.
And so for decades, there were people in this country that got accustomed to hurting other people and not worrying about it, and never worrying about they would ever spend any time in prison. We've had generations of people that were raised that way, that it was okay.
Yeah.
And even in my lifetime, people tended to turn a blind eye when an African American man or somebody was being harmed. And that empowered people to harm others with no consequence. We're actually seeing that right now with what's happening with the Hispanic population. These were practice things that they had already done. They're just using it on a different demographic. I've seen this my whole life. I've seen people marginalized and locked up and
ripped out of cars, at
women.
gunpoint, thrown in jail with nothing other than the word of supposedly a law enforcement officer. And we'll get to the fantasies those people like to write.
And so now we have police officers and others, ICE agents, I don't know if they're considered an officer, doing the same thing that they've done for decades to African Americans, just to a different demographic. African Americans have been shot in the face. They've been ripped out of cars. They've been locked up for nothing. And this is just the same thing that they've done. And a lot of us had turned a blind eye to it. And by doing that, they felt empowered to continue the tactics that they've used forever. And you've been warned, hey, this is the weakest demographic in the United States, right? And we are defined by what we do to our weakest. We are defined as a nation.
Yeah.
Are we kind to the people that have less power in this country? No. Now, since we were defined by that, it's moved up to a different scale.
No. It's, yeah. And I mean, there's a clear delineation here, too. I mean, let's be very clear that the people who take the brunt of this are the poor, because the wealthy, they can buy their way out of this. They buy their way out. They find the most accomplished and educated legal counsel. They, we have already discussed the bail system or the lack thereof for people with tremendous amount of wealth. And you've really got to do some seriously egregious stuff for them to even consider possibly keeping somebody wealthy in prison without bail, and actually really doesn't matter. Or $500,000, $1 million bail to some of these people, that's an afternoon at the golf course. Now my idea, I've floated this. Well, we've kind of floated this. We've come at this together, and we're of the opinion that everybody should have a public defender. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, just think about this for a second. If an individual gets arrested, put in, run through the system, and given a public defender, everybody, the same public defender, just like anybody else, I think we'd find a serious, downtick in the wealthy just getting off scot-free because their money seems to intervene and alter what should be probably a lengthy prison sentence or fines or whatever. The same kind of things that happen to the average person.
Right.
I mean,
and we have to look at some other things in history as well. Back in the 60s and beyond back, African Americans were denied the right to vote. Women as well. Women were not allowed to own homes unless their husband signed, the note saying that this was okay. Your husband actually had to sign notes for you to do a lot of things. Well, we're moving back to that, except for they're using it against the masses. They're trying to tell everyone that they can't vote, regardless of color. They had practiced this back in the 60s, and they're just moving back to that now, but on a larger scale. See, this is why you have to be careful, and you have to watch what they do. Since we were separated by color, they justified the illegalities that they were pulling off. Now that they've practiced them and have them down to a fine art, they're using them against the entire masses. Even freedom of speech. Look what they've done to Jimmy Kimmel. I support Jimmy. Jimmy should have a right to say whatever he likes if they believe in freedom of speech. They do believe in freedom of speech, but only for themselves.
Yeah, they can say and do whatever they want.
They can say whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. And they say, hey, the laws are for all. No, they're not. See, now, I'm one of the people that believe that a law is for all people. And the only thing that's been holding up are the court systems. The court systems have been constantly telling this administration, no, you can't do that, which goes against our Constitution. Now, I have to sit here and say thank you to all of these judges who are upholding the law. Bravo. Thank you very much. You're the only ones that are actually following the rule of law.
Now, let's be clear. This is the
Federal
district and state
and
federal
federal
people of the state. Mm-hmm. But we don't include the Supreme Court in this because
no longer.
That's his personal arm of total get out of jail free across the board. Yeah. So it basically, this stops at the judges that are in the states.
Right.
The minute you walk into the city limits of Washington, D.C., the entire justice system is corrupted.
And it used to be on the honor system where you didn't take money because that's a conflict of interest. You are being paid in a pool of money by all Americans that pay taxes. So essentially, the Supreme Court, the Congress, your police, your fire, the president, everybody in the House and the Senate work for us. Yeah. But they're trying to tell us that you're going to pay your taxes and we don't care, and you work for us. Now, how does that work when you're taking our money and you're not doing anything for our best interest?
Absolutely nothing.
But we have courts that are saying wrong, wrong, wrong. And I'm very proud of them. Even though they're not following the rule of law and what the courts are saying. The Supreme Court, mind you, and I'm writing a show on those people, are the ones that have created this entire situation where the President of the United States has used the power that they gave him against us.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. They've enabled, emboldened, given a blank check, a blank slate to do whatever they want to do. And I see all these different district courts, all these different, federal courts in the different areas passing these rulings, and
they're being ignored.
Being fully ignored.
So the tears of justice.
Yeah, justice.
Justice is no longer available in our country as we used to know it. So that means we have to get it back.
Somehow, some way, yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I'm at a point right now where even though we feel hopeless and helpless at times, we're not gone yet. Thank goodness that we have independent states. If we did not, we would have been overtaken already.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
We have governors out there that are fighting hard for our rights. And bless them all, because we are watching and they are empowering us to do the same. They're standing up to whatever or whoever is attacking us with the resources that they have in their states. And in some ways they're winning. Other ways they haven't. They've lost a little bit, but we're still winning in some areas because we're independent. Thank goodness.
But you can only win whenever the people who all the rulings are against actually follow the rulings. But what we see and have continued to see is they just appeal to the Supreme Court eventually, and the Supreme Court gives in. And all that work that was taking place, down below in the lower courts is just thrown in the trash. And it really, and you can see it. It's so across financial lines. I mean, the wealthy are basically getting away with rape and murder. I mean, hello. And the people who are in those files that haven't been released,
there's no justice.
There's no justice.
And we're coming to a point now where the treatment of American citizens is just almost inhumane. We are losing our rights to health care. It's not as if we had a good system anyway, but it was better than what it's about to be.
Certainly cheaper.
And yeah. And the thought that it's all based on wealth instead of your health, just like the prison system, is a real problem for Americans. Everything is so expensive. And even before they had the ACA, people were going bankrupt trying to pay medical bills. I can't even imagine what's going to happen now. But we're talking the tiers of justice, right? We haven't been able to stop the loss of health care in the courts yet. And I don't know if we're going to be able to.
No, there's no justice in that particular one.
So what's going on here is that what was instituted way back in the 1800s when slavery first started, and I know this is a harsh comparison, is going all the way up to the top tier of the United States, which is white males as well. They are going to lose their rights just like everybody else, which is shocking because we're watching it happen right before our eyes, where they're trying to take away our right to vote, which means that if we don't have a vote, we're no longer the United States.
Well, we're not a democracy right now anyways, because he doesn't follow the law. He doesn't think the law is never applied to him or any of those people in that administration. They think they can just wander through, but it's not just necessarily the administration, it's rich people. Wealthy people think they can get away with basically everything. I mean, right. Diddy, you go back to the financial Bernie Madoff, but don't you find it interesting how billions, people were wiped out during that recession, yeah. And one guy,
they created the recession in the 80s.
I'm talking about the 90s.
That was
2008, 2011. Yeah. One guy, Bernie Madoff, got thrown in jail. You really think one guy was wandering off with
they were all
trillions
in on
of dollars? There's people that were in on that are still wandering around Wall Street. Why didn't they get their hands slapped and thrown in jail? Money. They threw one sacrificial lamb, an old man who was basically on his last leg. Here's your tender meat. While the rest of them went back to doing exactly what they were doing before, that they continued to do right now to this very minute.
They are taking money. And I recommend that you do not put your money in the stock market. And if you can take anything out, I recommend that you do. And buy hard currency, which is real estate, silver and gold. That they can't take that away from you. Get a safety deposit box, lock it away. That's how you save your money. But we also have a problem with our prison system and our court system. Our court system is very unfair because the minute the defendant walks in, jury, judge, both sides, the first thing they look at and the first thing they talk about is the color of the defendant.
Yep.
The socioeconomics of the defendant. How much money? Does he live in the ghetto? Is he on drugs? Blah, blah, blah. Or she, blah, blah, blah. Right? Because they want to make sure that demographic gets out so that, hey, it's a slam dunk. But if the defendant is rich, white, went to Harvard, Yale, or something like that, does that taint the jury? I believe it does.
We don't want to ruin their lives.
No. I have an idea. What if your defendant wasn't seen by the jury or the judge? You could hear his testimony, his voice would be altered or read, and his socioeconomics would not be disclosed. Only his crime, or her crime. Let's do both, because women commit crimes too. And the jury would have to judge them solely on the crime that they committed. Not on the color, not where they lived, nothing. That's what I call colorblind. And I'll bet you, rich, poor, whatever, you would get a more fairer decision than you could have ever gotten, showing your face. And that way, our system could work equally for everyone. You couldn't sit there in your $5,000 suit with your attorney in his $5,000 suit talking about, I give to charity and I'm a good guy and blah, blah, blah. That wouldn't be heard. What would be heard was what crimes you committed. And they couldn't discriminate against you because they wouldn't know the socioeconomic situation of your life.
I mean, can you imagine that?
I had a dream.
Colorblind, wealth blind, and a public defender. Talk
Boom.
about some even justice.
That would definitely equalize the playing field.
A lot.
And I love that idea. I don't know if it will ever happen, but maybe the right person could hear that and figure out a way. I mean, we have AI everywhere. I mean, why couldn't it be done that way? The defendants always sound and look the same. And, testimony always sounded and looked the same. So you couldn't judge somebody by what they looked like or what they had or who they knew or any of that stuff.
As long as the wealthy are running the show, it'll never happen because they know they have the advantage. And do you think they're... No. This is something that is going to have to come from the people, and it's going to have to come so forcefully and so adamantly that there'll be no choice.
Right.
And when that happens, a whole line of dominoes fall. You get equal justice.
Right.
You get the right people going to the pen for the right reasons for the right amount of time.
Right.
You get changes in government, term limit. I mean, there's just this whole
but you know what?
list of things.
You would probably have less
justice.
Appeals. Why?
Yeah.
Because if the crimes were presented properly, you didn't have to, well, I got this sentence because I'm African American. The same guy that committed the same that was white got less time. That's where your appeals are coming in. Well, how come this guy got this light sentence and this guy got this heavy sentence?
That's right.
And that's would stop all of that.
Certainly
because
reduce it.
The white guy would get the same sentence as the black guy, or the Asian guy would get the same sentence as the white guy. All of it changes immediately.
It really does. I mean, the minute you can't, and let's face it, the only people who need to know a physical description are the police if they're hunting an outstanding criminal.
Right.
But once they have those people and they enter into the justice system, none of that is relevant.
And it's very interesting because that's the first thing everybody asks you, on forms and everything. What nationality are you? And I've often wondered, I remember my mom telling me when I was young, you don't have to answer that question. That question has nothing to do with anything other than knowing who and where you are. And I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now.
Yeah.
I can't see why it has to be, on every document. If it doesn't have anything to do with my life or anything relevant.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there is.
That's
no
how they
need.
separate us. And I'm trying to tell people that if you get a document and it asks your nationality, you don't have to write it.
No.
If they're telling you that you have to write it for a specific drug to save your life, that's different. But everything else is not necessary.
But is it really?
I've stopped writing my nationality, I guess, when I was in my 20s. I stopped.
What nationality wouldn't be able to take a certain drug?
None. But they try to tell you that.
You don't. When you see Caucasian, white, black, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, ignore it. Just put unknown. They don't need to know.
Or there's a sign that says refuse to state. I like that better.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
I do. I refuse to state because it's irrelevant. And we need to come together. We need to stop separating ourselves into these different pods of nationality. Because right now, every nationality is under attack. We're all under attack. All of our rights are under attack. I'm not worried about what color you are. I'm worried about us as a collective. And we've got to stop looking and separating and judging. You're an American, fight for American rights. That's what you need to do. Don't worry about who's getting American food or whatever like that. We're all eating the same food.
That's right.
We're all driving the same cars. We need to not let them divide us anymore. We need to stand out there and we need to take our rights back. We need to, because if we don't, and if we're so busy poking at each other, we're missing the mark here. They're laughing at us. Every time we turn around, there's a new drama going on or some chaos going over here. Forget about that. Forget about that. No, focus on your rights. Focus on American rights. That's what we need to focus on. We need to say, we are going to leave our voting rights alone. You're going to leave our health care alone, and we're going to fight for those rights. It's our money that they're using against us. Hear me. I'm going to say it again. All the money for the military, all the money for the veterans, all the money for your roads, it's our money. Think about it like that. Think about it as your bank account that is being robbed and used against you. That's what's happening. Stop worrying about what color your neighbor is and come together, and we need our strength in numbers to do this.
It's very simple, folks. The justice we deserve and need to get is going to come from us. And no one's going to do it alone.
No.
The only way we get through this is together.
We got to make it.
Doesn't matter what the person on your right looks like. Doesn't matter what the person on the left looks like. It is literally, we are in a battle of the rich. I mean, the super rich. Make no mistake about it. They're starting to float out these ridiculous statements like people who are multimillionaires don't qualify to be in their club. I mean,
because they're considered poor.
They're considered poor
by billionaire standards.
So be very careful who you label. These people are coming, and
right.
Their justice is the kind of justice that none of us, we haven't earned it. It doesn't belong to land on us. And we need to start taking our country back, putting in place even justice for everybody. No one in this country, no one is above the law. You want to be in a country where somebody's above the law, you go someplace else.
Remember,
you want to stay here.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, please.
Remember, we're asking a lot of you. Are we, though? Because we're asking you to fight, right? I'm in front of a camera and I'm terribly shy. But it took months of work just to get where I am. I am fighting for you, me, and my kids and your kids. Everybody, right? I don't know if I'm capable of having all the answers because I don't. That's why we want to work together, right? And everything that you see around you was an idea. Your phones, everything you have, your cars, it was an idea. Our court systems, everything that we have in the United States was a concept. I have a new concept. I want you to listen to me, and I want to listen to you. Go to my message board. Go to our message board. Give us feedback. Listen, these concepts can work. We just have to stick together and make people listen. That we're not going to tolerate this. We're not going to have you turn us into automatons that work and never have any joy in life, never have any money, that sit at home and wonder how our children are going to be fed, not even have children because we can't afford it.
Yeah, being spoon-fed junk because they've now bought up all of the entertainment industries.
Yeah, fight. They're trying to take away our vision of what we thought America was supposed to be. Freedom, that word. We're always tied to something, but we had more freedoms than we have right now.
That's right.
We've had freedoms taken away. We're getting like this,
We're
right?
being funneled down.
Now remember, Ideas. I may not have all the ideas. Come, let's get some ideas. Let's work together. Let's get it back. The United States wasn't perfect. I've given you one example of how bad it was for one demographic. There are other demographics, but like he knows how I feel about doing this, but I got tired, and I wasn't kidding about screaming at the television and crying and going, I'm losing my country. My country that I hoped would even get even better is worse than it was when I was a child here, right now. There isn't even a hope of a dream right now if we listen to them. And we're not going to. Because we have the numbers and we really do have the power. Because you know what? The masses made this place, and the masses can remake this place better.
And let's make sure, I don't know who, if they see, local law enforcement, and you people need to also take a step back and think about whose side you're on, because you live in these communities. And they're not carting you off to Washington so you can pal around with all the big boy super billionaires. You live here. Are you their lackey? Are you here to do their bidding? Or are you here to protect your community like you're paid to do? Like I'm sure most of you signed up, you wanted to be police. You wanted to protect your community for whatever reason, whether it be something happened to you wanted to protect. You're a long line family. You're a family of cops or police. Whatever the motivation, your motivation was about your community, your friends, your family, the people around you. You need to step up as well, because every time you walk out your door of your business and go do what they're telling you to do, believe me, at the end of the line, they're going to stop. Once they've got to a certain point, they're going to look at you and go, now you get in line with them, because that's where you belong.
And you remember where you're funding, you local police, your funding comes from the cities that you're working in. So what happens if you turn against the citizens and the citizens decide that we'll police ourselves then, or whatever? Things can change quickly. Yeah. You're not federally funded. The same thing with the fire department and the social programs that nobody thinks that we're enlisted in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Back to public service, right?
Yeah.
So yes, you do need to pick a side, because right now you're really quiet, but you are doing the right thing. But there may come a time when federal police have to go against local police. That's when the rubber meets the road.
That's my point.
What are you doing, and who are you doing it for? Now, remember, when you make that choice, remember who pays your salary. So if the federal goes, hey, you turn against your citizenry, it's time for you to leave.
Yeah. Who paid your salary? Who helped teach your children?
And this is part of the problem. We all have political views.
We do.
But if you're in a service job where you're taking money from everyone, you're not allowed to have a political view on the job.
That's right.
Because you're supposed to protect and serve everybody, not just the people you politically agree with.
And by the way, we expect that most people who are a part of that group are intelligent enough to actually say, you know what? I can't exercise my political beliefs when I'm on the job. I must focus on making sure everybody is safe,
right,
and secure and protected.
And you have to. You have to. You took an oath. I don't know if you did or whatever, you police officers, but
you take an oath.
What happens if you decide that you're on this political A side, right? But you live in a different city and somebody goes against your family because they're on political B side.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to feel? You're going to go, hey, political guy over here, don't go against my family, but you chose to go against another family over here.
Yeah.
So remember that everybody has a political view, and this is why it is not supposed to be inserted in a public job. Because when you work for the public, we're all different colors, shapes, and sizes, and we're supposed to be in an America where you can have free thinking. And so if you're deciding that we can't be free thinkers, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. And justice is going to come.
And not just you, just other citizens as well.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, we just kind of point out.
Me too.
I just wanted to point out because the local police are supposed to be protecting the local people. I'm going to reiterate this. None of us are doing this alone. We're going to have to do this together.
Right.
And if it isn't painfully clear that there's a group of individuals at the federal level who just really don't care, it's quite clear they have their own agenda and we're just here to fund it. I don't know what to tell you. Open your eyes. Watch some news. Change a channel. Watch all of them. I mean, the media has gotten to a point now where they've been bought out, and because they're censoring that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're not going to be censored, but they're censoring these people.
Yes.
And
all of the major stations they're trying to censor. They're trying to squash the voices of everybody. And the one thing that they can't do is take down all media. They tried that in other countries and they only allow certain things, but in our country, it's a little bit difficult. Why? Because there's one big roadblock, and it's called the billionaires. They don't want the voices shut down. Why? Because they lose money. Every time you cut off a show that is very popular because somebody doesn't like it, people leave. They change it into something that's dishonest, something that we don't like, and they lose money. That's the one thing these billionaires don't like, and that is losing money. So that's how you curb a billionaire, is you take their money. And right now, they're taking ours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rough catch-22. They want to own us, run us, abuse us, and rip us off for everything we have. But the flip side is they can't live without us. Eventually, if they were to get rid of all of us, there'd be no more money to make because there'd be no more money to give.
And right now, they are pricing out almost every American except for the ones that are making a lot of money. And I'm specifically, have you noticed the price of cars? Your food, homes to buy, rentals, all of it. They're pricing everyone out of everything. Why? Because they think there's no ceiling to our money, that we will starve to have the things that they're selling. They're wrong. Because I go to Wall Street and I look at the stock markets every day and I see every industry is struggling and they don't understand why. Don't you think somebody would spend $2,000 a month for a car instead of having a roof over their house? No. But that's what they're thinking. Anyway, back to the tiers of justice.
Well, I mean, we're kind of talking about justice or the lack thereof pretty much across the board.
I don't know. I mean, I have big concerns about anybody in our court system right now. Big concerns. I don't care what color you are. I'm watching them go to courts and yank people out that are trying to become citizens here. But now they've worked their way to the citizens, shooting us in the head 3 times in a car with no weapon, no violence, nothing, and no hate. Apparently that woman, I don't dislike you or I don't not
That's
like
right. Yeah,
you.
I don't
Yeah,
hate you,
I
or
don't hate
whatever it
you.
was
Yeah.
she said.
Those were her last words.
Yeah.
And for that, she got shot in the face.
Yeah, the guy she said she didn't hate shot her in the face
He
for her
sure
trouble.
did.
And isn't it odd how yet again, we are told to disregard
what
our
we saw.
own eyeballs,
right,
and our own ears. They must feel like we're walking stupid people.
I don't know.
Don't believe what you saw. Don't believe what you heard from about 50 different angles that all say the same story. No, it's what they told you.
But it doesn't
it's like
work.
January 6th. It's what they told you. Don't believe your lying eyes. I mean, seriously, this is where we've now fallen to into 2026, 2025, 2026.
It doesn't work. I'm going to explain to you why it doesn't work. Because that's it. That's all you need to know. Because these people that are, and I'm tired of sugarcoating the word lie, prevaricators. How about that? They are professional prevaricators / liars. Now, at first, we didn't know how bad they were, but we've been in this for a while now. And we know that when you see them on television, they've scripted a ton of lies. We know that. And the only people that will believe them are people that want to believe them.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of us, it doesn't work anymore.
It's their narrative.
But justice is difficult right now. Justice is hiding right now. And we need to fight to get justice on every front. I want us to fight. I mean, the judges, bless you, thank you, right? Because you are doing the right thing. But as for the Supreme Court, there are 6 of you criminals on there. And I'm not afraid to tell you to your faces that every single one of you criminals should be removed. You've all lied, you've all cheated, you've stolen money, and you are the reason why we are where we are right now. You empowered this situation, you encouraged this situation, and you handed the keys to the kingdom. So every time something goes wrong, I'm looking to you, criminal 6, the 666 of you, and I am in despise of everything that you've done to my country. I'm not even sure you deserve this country anymore.
I'm going to tell you, the American people are coming for you people. Make no mistake about it. Enjoy it while you can, because about 300 some odd million people are coming for you. It'll be a real question. Then we're going to find out what justice really looks like.
You definitely need to be held accountable. You need to stand. All 6 of you need to stand before a judge. That's what he means.
That's right.
He means that you need to stand in front of judges.
Justice.
Real judges that aren't filling their pockets and telling American people are dying because of you. And you sit on high, is what they said.
Yeah, they don't care.
You sit on high and don't care at all. And remember, a pendulum swings both ways. So when your justice comes, you can guarantee that the 300 million of us are not going to care either.
That's a good ending.
We're both good.
I like that.
So everybody remember, are you a taker or a maker? Does someone or something in your life take you down? Or are you a maker? Does somebody come into your life and lift you up, make you better? This is the Public Service Show. And I'm Sandra.
And I'm Kirk.
And try to have a day.
Yeah, have a good evening, have a day. Your justice is... We're going to get there.
Talk to us on the message board.
Justice is going to come.
We need it.
Yeah.
You have been watching a public service show. America is part of a global community. Sandra and I are well aware that the American experience had the hope for freedom. America isn't perfect by any means, and we are currently having our freedoms tested. Here at the Public Service Show, we're going to look at how and why we're at this point in America.